All right, so we're diving into a song today that one of y'all wanted us to take a closer look at.
Oh, yeah.
The Last of My Kind by Shaboozey.
Cool.
And, music can be
Absolutely.
more than just, sounds. It's a window into feelings and experiences and even whole ways of life. So
Totally agree.
let's see what Shaboozey's telling us here and maybe what it sparks in you listening at home, too.
Yeah, I love that music is so personal.
Yeah,
But it can also tap into these like universal themes that
right.
everybody kind of understands.
Totally. And right off the bat, like
Yeah.
right away, that phrase, the last of my kind, is just
Oh.
so intriguing.
Oh, yeah. It grabs you.
Yeah, it makes me think of someone who's like standing apart from the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
but in a way that's both vulnerable but also like strong.
Yeah.
What do you think when you hear that kind of statement?
Well, I mean, you hit it right on the head. It's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, it could be someone feeling totally isolated,
Right.
like they're the only one left who understands a certain way of life or sees the world a certain way.
Yeah.
But it can also be like a badge of honor, a
Yeah.
declaration of like, this is me, I'm different.
Right.
I'm holding on to something that's precious to me, even if the world has kind of moved on.
I'm really struck by all the details about specific places in the lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
We hear about country shows near Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
the Red Rock Fountain, black birds hang. It's not just any back road.
Yeah.
This feels like a very specific place.
Right. It's not generic.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, it definitely grounds the song in a certain kind of rural Southern Americana vibe.
Okay.
And it makes me think about how, like, as a culture, we tend to, like, romanticize people who live on the fringes of society.
Yeah.
The outlaws, the rebels,
Loners.
loners, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a long tradition in American culture and maybe even globally of
Yeah.
just admiring that, like, rugged individualist spirit.
Totally. And Shaboozey doesn't shy away from like the rougher edges of that lifestyle either.
Oh, for sure.
Grew up on a back road, know how to survive. Been out with the young guns blazing.
Yeah.
Carry some shit, can't cross state lines. Ducking cops in the dirty hills.
Yeah.
This is not someone like sipping lemonade on the porch.
No, not at all. This character lives in a world of grit and like shadows.
Yeah.
It's a place where survival is not like a guarantee.
Right.
And it makes those lines about resilience so powerful. Like, this world can be a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Can't always climb to safety. Sometimes you gotta fight. Gotta get it if you want it. Keep the fire burning inside.
I keep coming back to that line. Surprised I'm still standing.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me wonder what this person has been through,
Right.
What they had to overcome to still be here.
Absolutely. And there's this sense of like weariness in that line,
Yeah.
almost, but also defiance. Like they've earned every scar, every wrinkle, and it really connects with that whole theme of being the last of my kind.
Right.
Maybe it's not just about being different, but it's about having the tenacity to like keep going when other people fall away.
Then we get to verse 3 and Paul Coffin's voice comes in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just like harmony.
Yeah.
It feels like he's embodying a whole other side of that last of their kind idea.
It does. His voice has this texture, like this gravelly.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's lived a lot of life.
Totally.
And it makes you wonder, is this like a passing of the torch?
Oh, interesting.
Or is it just like an acknowledgement that even the toughest individuals sometimes need somebody to share the burden with?
Yeah. It's interesting, too, because the song doesn't lay everything out.
Right.
It leaves these gaps for us as listeners to kind of fill in on our own.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
What does this song make you think about, personally?
Well, for me, it reminds me of that like universal desire to belong.
Okay.
We all want to feel like we fit in somewhere. But it also speaks to the importance of like staying true to yourself.
Yeah.
Even when it feels like you're the only one who sees things the way you do.
Right.
And it also reminds me that sometimes like the most powerful truths are kind of whispered. They're not shouted.
Ooh, I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Absolutely.
And listener, before we go, we want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Who are the last of their kind in your world?
Ooh.
Maybe it's a grandparent who's holding on to traditions or a friend with a really unique perspective.
Yeah.
Or maybe in some ways it's you.
Yeah.
Take a minute to think about what makes you stand apart and what you hold on to, even when it feels like the world is changing all around you.
Right.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Yeah. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, so we're diving into some song lyrics this time.
Sounds good.
And I always like to do this every once in a while, just to
Yeah.
kind of switch things up.
Sure.
So
Okay.
it's really interesting how it uses this road trip kind of imagery to talk about a relationship.
Right away. Yeah, just from the title.
Yeah, and then you start reading the lyrics, and it's like, whoa, this is actually,
They go deep.
yeah, way deeper than I thought.
Like using the journey as a metaphor
Exactly. And there's this whole feeling of like
for what's happening in the relationship.
being on this path that's just headed for like complete disaster, but you can't get off it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's that feeling of being trapped.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it starts right from those first couple lines.
The dead ends and the one-way streets.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Like, what's the songwriter trying to tell us there?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the relationship is not,
Yeah, it's not going anywhere good.
yeah, it's not healthy. There's
no.
no way. Yeah, and it's like, you know that saying, you can't see the forest for the trees?
Oh, for sure.
It feels like that kind of a situation.
It's like they're so caught up in it that
They can't see the bigger picture.
you can't see the damage that's happening.
Exactly, and then it's like, bam,
Yeah.
freight train simile.
That one got me.
What'd you think about that?
Intense.
Yeah, just the feeling of like powerlessness,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, like you're just stuck on the tracks.
And this thing's just barreling towards you.
There's no stopping it.
No, and it's like it just leaves this trail of destruction.
Exactly. And I think it's such a good way to show
Right.
like how strong regret can be.
Right.
And how much damage it can do.
It's like you said, there's no stopping this train.
Yep.
And you're just kind of caught in its wake.
And you're alone too, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
There's no one else on this train with them.
You're totally alone with this heartbreak and these regrets, and it's like it just gets amplified.
Definitely. And then that feeling just explodes in the chorus. With the highway.
Yeah, the highway becomes like this symbol
Well, like danger.
for like a path that's leading to something bad.
And maybe even death.
Yeah, like a real sense of doom.
And then the miles and miles and miles.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think they repeat that so much?
Well, I think it goes beyond just feeling lost.
Yeah.
It's like they're trapped in this cycle
Of what?
of bad decisions and the consequence.
Right, like a loop of negativity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that repetition just emphasizes it.
And it also kind of mirrors that feeling of just driving and driving.
With no destination.
Yeah, and not being able to escape your own thoughts.
That's a really good point.
Like your mind is just racing and you can't turn it off.
And it's interesting because in the second verse,
Things get even darker.
yeah, you see them trying to escape the pain,
Going out drinking.
trying to numb themselves, basically.
But it's not working, is it?
No. It's clear that they can't outrun what they're feeling.
And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to.
Oh, definitely. Trying to distract yourself from your problems.
But the problems are still there.
Yeah, you can't just ignore them forever.
And then there's that line about putting the liquor on the shelf.
Right. And Jesus on the hotline.
Like maybe a turning point.
Yeah, like maybe they're finally ready to face things,
To ask for help.
to change.
Yeah. I like that. A glimmer of hope.
And then what happens? The chorus hits again.
But it feels different
It does, doesn't it?
this time.
Like there's more awareness.
Yeah, like they're seeing the road signs
The warning sign.
that they've been ignoring.
For so long.
They're still on that highway.
Yeah, they haven't gotten off yet.
But at least now they're starting to realize
That they need to.
that they're headed in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
And then the bridge man.
Oh, the bridge gets me every time.
It's like the emotional heart of the whole song.
It is.
They're talking about the fear of being alone
Of being another statistic.
on that highway of heartbreak.
Yeah, of their life just becoming a cautionary tale. And it's so raw and vulnerable, you know?
Yeah, all the bravado is gone.
It's like they're finally letting their guard down.
And admitting that they're scared.
And I think that's so powerful
Yeah.
because it shows that even when we feel lost and alone,
We're all vulnerable.
yeah, we all have those moments of doubt and fear.
And I think it's a good reminder that our choices,
Have consequences.
they can lead us to some pretty dark places.
And then the outro man,
Heavy.
they're imagining their own death on that highway.
Still haunted by their regrets.
Like they never got off that road.
Yeah, it's a pretty bleak image.
But then there's that last line about letting go of the wheel.
What do you make of that?
I don't know, is it acceptance?
More resignation?
Or maybe even a last act of defiance?
Could be all of those things.
Yeah, I think it's up to the listener to decide.
Which is what makes it so thought-provoking.
Exactly. It's like the songwriter is leaving it open to interpretation,
And that's what good songwriting is all about.
making you think.
Yeah, making you question things.
So we started this deep dive feeling trapped and lost.
All right.
And then there was that glimmer of hope.
With the hotline.
Yeah, and then in the end,
Confrontation with regret.
and the possibility of letting go.
What a ride.
It really makes you think about your own life.
Yeah.
Like, what are the highways you're traveling on?
What are the paths you're choosing?
And if you found yourself headed for a dead end?
Would you have the courage to change direction?
That's a good question to ask yourself.
It is.
All right, well, that's our deep dive for today.
That was a good one.
Yeah, this song really got to me.
Me too.
A lot to think about.
Definitely.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.